We're live.
I see it. All right, guys. So let's get started. Are we sure that we'll be able to? I guess it is 7 o'clock. It's right at 7 o'clock. So we advertise 7 o'clock, so we're right on time. So, first of all, I just want to say how brave you guys are to let me just come up with questions. I have not shared any of these questions. These girls have no clue what we're doing. They have no clue what I'm going to ask. But um, we'll see how this goes. So, but first, I want to just welcome everybody who's watching. I can't even really tell if anybody is watching, so I'm assuming that people are. So, hey to everybody. And I just want to say what we're doing, what this is a Galentine's event. And a lot of times, people are like, "What is Galentine's? Is Galentine's a real thing?" Yes, Galentine's Day is a real thing, according to Parks and Recreation, the TV show. That's where it came from. That's where Galentine's Day came from. So if you Google it, that's what you'll see. What that Galentine's Day was on an episode in 2010. It was in the second season of Parks and Rec, where and the episode was titled Galentine's Day. And the exact quote from the TV show is, "Every February 13th, my lady friends and I uh, my lady friends and I kick our husbands and our boyfriends out and leave them at home, and we just come and kick it, breakfast style. Ladies celebrating ladies." So Valentine's Day is an unofficial holiday, but I mean, aren't most holidays not real? I mean, truthfully. So, so we thought we'd get everybody together and talk about our friendship, and we're spanning a lot of years. And to that, first, we're going to just go around the room. You guys introduce yourself. And one thing I want you to do, you can just say your name, give information about yourself, whatever you want to tell. But what I want to know is, who on this screen have you known the longest, and how long have you known them? Just to give like a baseline of how long we have really all been friends, right? So Leanne, you're top on my screen. So you go first. You tell a little bit about yourself, and then take it from there.
Okay, so I'm Leanne Dooley. I'm Dr. Dooley. This is my page. So I'm a psychiatrist in Georgia, married for the last 9 years, have stepdaughter Gabby. And the person who I have on here known the longest is Jennifer. We were in fourth grade, and what's her name? Carrie. I can't remember her last name. Miss Sharp's class. And so that's when we became friends, and our brothers have been friends. So she's the person that I've on here who I've been friends with the longest.
And how you said fourth grade, but how long is that?
Fourth grade, we were what? Like, I don't know how old I was then. So
about 10.
About 10. Okay. So 30 years, 30-ish years. I probably like knew you or saw you before that, but that's like when we became friends, is when we were in fourth grade class there.
All right. Sharita, you're next.
Okay, can everyone hear me? Hey guys, it's so wonderful to be here with you guys. I am Sharita, and I am in the Los Angeles area, currently traveling, but I live in the Los Angeles, California area, and I am a district manager for a medical sales company. And the person that I have known the longest on here is Leanne. So Leanne is actually the glue, I guess, that binds me and the rest of these ladies. So I met Leanne first, I believe it was fifth or sixth grade. And after that, Leanne introduced me to these wonderful ladies, and we all became connected. So I would say that is what, almost 30 years, 25 plus years that I've known Leanne. So that is the person that I've known the longest.
She was like sitting quietly on the bus in the front seat with her clarinet, and I used to be on the back of the bus causing trouble. I just want y'all to know that.
She tells that story all the time to everybody. Anybody who will listen, she'll say, "I sit at the front of the bus with my clarinet," and I believe that too. I don't remember, but I believe that. But she tells that story to everybody. Oh my God, And yes, you were keeping up trouble. She got me in trouble all the time in class. It was really ridiculous. But anyway.
All right, Amber.
Okay, I'm Amber. I'm trying to see how to start this. So Jennifer was my first non-family friend. We lived on the same street. The story is my mom used to tell me that her mom and my mom used to switch shopping carts when they were shopping in the grocery store, and one would push one child and the other would push the other. So we go way back. I mean, I can't think of many childhood experiences without remembering Jennifer. And I think since we all went to except for Sharita and Faith, Leanne, Megan, and Jennifer and I all went through the same school district. So we all knew each other growing up. And I think I got closer with Leanne. When did you move? Was it middle school? Yeah, I was going like sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, and I came back in the ninth grade.
Yeah.
So we started getting really tight in high school, and then Leanne was the link to the way I knew Sharita, because we used to take our trips to Sharita's hometown, and that's how I met Sharita. And then Megan, I just feel like as soon as I started going to middle school, I knew Megan because we didn't go to the same elementary school. And then I met Faith, and then band. We were in band together for a little bit. I was in band for a little bit, and Jennifer too. And then Faith, we met her. The link is Leanne, but then she's cousins with Megan, so it's like this double link. And then it was college, so we all have these different branches that go out, and we have this camaraderie. But we all share different links, but similar links. So, and I'm in the LA area too, so we all live in different places, but we still somehow stay connected.
Perfect. All right, Faith.
Okay, I'm Faith Brantley. I live in Houston, and I'm an English curriculum writer, focusing on like social justice issues primarily, like race, gender, justice, ethics, all of those things. Really passionate about those things. Let's see, the connection, the primary connection. Who have I known longest? I know I've known Megan the longest because we're related. Um, Megan's mom and my grandmother were sisters. So we have the family connection. So I don't know when I first met Megan. But I don't think we like interacted a lot until I moved to Arkadelphia for college. And then we end up spending a lot of time together. I think there were several points, like when I was going to college, I would spend a lot of time just hanging out at Megan's house. I would go to class, go to work, go to Megan's house, and there was a lot of that. And I met pretty much everybody else through that connection with Megan and Leanne. Leanne and I went to college together first year before she transferred, but we still we were at the same school, and then she transferred, and then we would still hang out together a lot too. And that's how I met Jennifer. That's how I met Amber. I met Leanne. I met Rita through Sharita. I'm looking at your name on the screen there, through Leanne as well. So it's been as far back as like, gosh, I must have been a child. I don't know. Probably the longest, Megan. So all my life, most of my life. And then everybody else, at least 20 years. Yeah.
All right, Jennifer.
Okay, I'm Jennifer. I am an educator in Arkansas, and I have known Amber the longest. But then I remember Megan at my elementary or either kindergarten class when everyone was kind of together. I remember eating breakfast across the table from her. That's what I remember, with two pigtails. And we would, I don't know, maybe our names just lined up, but we were always across the table from each other, from what I remember. But and then of course Leanne in fourth grade, And then when Leanne moved away and met Sharita, I kept visiting Leanne and met Sharita as well. So I guess I've known Sharita since I was about 12 or 13 then. And then, of course, Faith, I met her when we were in college. And then I guess that's about it. Yeah. So I've known everybody for a long time.
Exactly. So clearly, we've all known each other for a very, very long time. And the story has been told multiple times. I don't know if I need to go into it, but my name is Megan. I am an independent insurance adjuster, and I have, of course, known Faith the longest because she's my cousin. But outside of cousin, I guess I'll say I know. Gosh, Jennifer would be the longest because we've known each other. But like Amber said, we all went to school together, so we've known each other that long because we've spent that much time together. So bottom line is we've known each other upwards of 30 years because we're all in our 40s now. So we've known each other upwards of 30 years. So now that we've introduced ourselves, we're going to play a little game because, of course, y'all don't know what we're doing. So, but so this is a quick game. This is supposed to be quick, so you're not supposed to like think hard on it, right? So I'm gonna give you a scenario, and you're gonna yell out which person on this screen it best relates to. Got it? Understand? All right. So get your mute buttons ready. All right. So it's Friday night in high school. Who is the most likely to be at a football game?
Megan.
Megan.
Because you were in the band. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so it's Saturday night in high school. Who is at their boyfriend's house?
Leanne.
And
Amber.
both.
That's what I thought.
I think that might have been me.
All right, so it's Sunday morning in high school. Who is at church?
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
And Sharita.
All right, so we're having a group. We're all in a group text, right? And we text all the time. So we're having a deep conversation going back and forth. Who is the last person to respond to our text?
Jennifer.
Me.
I think Sharita.
Sharita,
you now.
Sharita.
Yeah.
Sharita,
yeah.
then Jennifer.
Yeah. All right. Who is most likely to watch the State of the Union address on February 23rd?
Faith.
Or Megan. What between you and Megan? Because y'all know y'all don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought me or Faith. I thought Faith. Yeah. Who is most likely to be arrested at a Black Lives Matter rally?
Amber.
Amber.
Oh, Amber, absolutely. Amber.
100%.
Because we ain't gonna be down there. Amber.
Exactly.
But no, she organized it.
Exactly. All right. So you have a prayer request that needs to get straight to Jesus. Who do you call?
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
All right. So who is most likely to call in sick at work just to travel for a concert in another state?
Megan.
Sharita.
Me.
Yeah.
Have you done that? Did you call that John Legend we went to? Did you call in for that?
Yeah, I actually did. I actually did. Well, technically, I didn't call in. I was working, but I just slipped away for a little bit, to experience.
I take that back.
Megan
will be working while she's wherever she is. I take that back.
I was working in Miami.
Remember our girls' trip? Working.
I've never seen anybody have a laptop on a beach
in the trunk. All right. 2 more. Who would be late to dinner because they're stuck at work?
I would say myself or Faith.
I would say I thought Faith. 100%.
Yeah,
y'all know Leanne is stuck at work.
That's true, but I hesitated to even vote on myself now because I'm working from home, which means I'm always at work.
Yeah.
So it might be who didn't eat dinner because they were still at work
Yeah.
in office.
Yeah, that definitely ain't me because dinner will be eaten over here. So yes, that was definitely.
All right. So last one. Who is most likely to sell all their goods, leave their family, and go out of the country on a year-long excursion, like the book
Amber.
and Eat, Pray, Love?
Amber.
Amber.
Or maybe Sharita.
Maybe old Sharita, but not now. So I'm gonna go with Amber on that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
And Leanne's starting to follow behind that a little bit now. She's on her path.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Yeah, I would say Leanne. I can see that.
So any of
I
you,
will
babe?
move in a minute. I will move.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Because
That
like
is
you
true.
was like Atlanta, up here, down here, way across the country. So
Yeah, that's true. All right. So the first question we're gonna jump into is think. I tried to do these in like time frame. So we're gonna think back to high school, college. Okay. So we've known each other, of course, since we were mindless little school age kids, thinking we knew everything. But we heard each other's dreams and goals all through school, especially in high school and in college. And now we're all very successful, happy, beautiful Black women. So, how important and valuable was it to have a core group of friends supporting and navigating you through your high school and college journey and graduation?
I it seems like when you were younger, like high school and college, you're not even thinking about your friends as this guidance group or an anchor, really. But it's a lot easier looking back to see how that is now. I know that especially in college when I was trying to figure out relationships and what I wanted to do, that I could count on my friends to tell me the things that I knew but didn't want to hear. And that proves so critical because you can hear like when you're trying to repress the voice that's telling you like you don't need to be dating that person, or you need to be focusing on this other issue, or you need to be spending more time with your family. You might hear it like yourself, but when you have the benefit of someone else who understands what you're experiencing and can tell you the truth about it, that is like so critical. And that's really what this like friendship, sisterhood meant to me even then, and why it was so important to have that kind of support group.
Anybody else?
I'm just gonna say, I think for us, like growing up in the small town that we grew up in, not like we didn't have successful people. I think that we did have some people we could look up to, but like I know in my case, I was like, oh, I want to be a doctor, and I didn't really know anybody who had done that, and so for me, I think it's also as helpful. It's like no, none of y'all just like, well, you make good grades in school, so it seemed like something you could do, and people just like, I never felt like anyone was like, girl, you're not going to do that, or that ain't something you can do. It just always got like, that is what you're doing, and I always like appreciated having that no one treated me like I was crazy. And I know a lot of people, when they talk about what their dream and goal is, particularly if it's something that they don't see a lot of people do, they get a lot of, even if it isn't on purpose negativity, it's just like, if you ain't seen it, then how do you know somebody can do it? But with y'all, it was just like, oh, you say she going to marry? Oh, okay, I guess that's what she going to be doing then. And that always meant a lot to me.
Yeah. Leanne, I don't know if you remember, but in fourth grade, you took home your science book the first week of school and read it.
Okay, and Jennifer always tells this story. Just like I tell that other story, Jen always tells this story.
And I was the one that always did not want to read. I would not do what my teachers wanted me to do unless I liked them. And that's funny now that I am an educator. And I can always tell people my story that I did not do anything. My parents, they were like, okay, baby, but they punished me. And yes, I had to be in church, but it's not like I had to make all A's and B's and they were mad at me or something. So I think that it was very critical for me. I really am fortunate to have such a supportive group. And then the fact that Leanne did take home that book and read it. I remember telling my mom that, and she was like, you need to do the same thing. And then like Amber's mom was always like, nothing but A's. And I was like, Amber studying, but you need to do the same thing, you know? So if you keep hearing that over and over, it pushes you to that positivity and you just have to do the same thing. But the thing with me is in high school, I experienced a home economics class where I worked in the daycare, and I found my love then for kids. So that was what trajectory took me that place, you know. And I didn't even want to necessarily be the doctor or the lawyer or anything. I just loved kids. And then my father was a teacher as well. And then my brother went that path. So a combination of friends and family members. But I don't regret any of it. And I'm thankful that everybody pushes me, you know, and that I push you as well. I'm always trying to brainstorm, and, you know, a teacher will sit up there and try to teach you that you can do something. And I don't know a thing about it, but baby, you can do that. You can do it because I'm going to help you. You can strategize it, you know, so.
And I agree. I think that, you know, it never, Leanne would say all the time, I'm going to be a doctor. We were in high school. I'm going to be a doctor. And it never, ever crossed my mind that she wasn't going to be a doctor. You know, she said I would be a doctor. I was like, that's about right. You know? And so it was the constant push of each other that we all, you know, pushed each other in that way that, okay, well, Leanne says she's going to be a doctor. So what am I going to do? You know, it was that constant push. And two, that we pushed each other, and we didn't, if our paths did veer off, we were just like, okay, so what you doing now? Let's, you know, so that was always very supportive to have that young. But let's move forward to college now. So we all graduated college in our early 20s, uh, still thinking that we knew everything, still didn't. But so what impact though did having a group of girlfriends have on making the next steps in life? So such as our influence or support with continuing your education or getting married or having children or starting your career. If you think about all of those aspects, how did having a group of friends support that? And I can say, just for me, I was the first one of all of us to have a child. I had a child while we were in college. You still didn't throw me my baby shower, but we're gonna talk about that later.
I'm so sorry, Megan. It's like there's nothing I can ever do to make up for not throwing this baby shower, y'all.
We didn't have any
We
money.
were poor.
Exactly. Exactly.
We still helped you though, if we could.
Exactly.
You can't blame me. I didn't even live there yet, so
Yeah,
I didn't know
that's
about
right.
the baby.
That's right.
I feel like I just need to throw a baby shower. Like I feel like we just need to have a shower of some type of, Megan.
We're gonna do one. We're gonna do one. I mean, although he's grown, we're gonna do one.
Yeah. So, but even then, you know, having a child very young, I never felt like, well, you know, I was thrown away, you know, from the group. Like I was looking back at old videos and transferring them to digital, and I saw Aaron's second birthday party. That was me, Faith, and Leanne, and Aaron's dad. That was his party. So, but yeah. So, but so you guys answer. How did having a friend group supporting you? Because I think who was the first to get married? I think it was Jennifer. But getting married and continuing education. So, how did your friend group support?
I'm going to merge something, the last two questions together. So, as I reflect back on growing up as I'm raising my own children, I realized how much of our friendship was a buffer for all the microaggressions and overt racist acts that I had to deal with growing up. And it was a safe place. So, as I'm forming my idea about who I am as a woman, how I look, about my hair, you know, what it's like, because I know some of us were in classes where we were the only Black person, or like maybe one of three in the class. And so, I mean, there were some stories and there were some situations and there were some things that you would hear, but we could always go back to our group and talk about it. Or even if we didn't want to talk about it, that was a safe place. And I felt like that because I went to a real white college. Like, oh, I mean, there were so few Black people on campus. It was ridiculous. And so I was always a drive away from coming back home and being with my girls. And so it was so good for me. And I didn't see that for other Black women on campus. They didn't have that. They were stuck on campus. They couldn't just drive an hour and a half back home and go hang out with their friends for the weekend. That wasn't a thing for them. So they were always weathering these predominantly white spaces and dealing with what that was like as a Black woman, as you're trying to navigate these classes and hearing certain things in your classes that might be kind of in your face as a Black woman, or you might feel attacked or whatever. So I think that having that safe place has really encouraged me to encourage my own daughters to say, hey, look, it's good to have a girl group. Like, get your crew. Where are your people? Like, get your people. I don't care if you're in second grade. Where are your girls? Are you gonna go hang out with your girls? I use that language now with them. Like, oh, is that your crew? Even my third grade, that's your crew, right? It's just because I want them to understand the importance of having those mirroring relationships where they have people that look like them. Be friends with whoever, but I definitely know that made me a better person growing up. And that spanned K through college on up to now, having that safe place.
That brings up this point. Like, I think, I don't know. I'm not sure about Sharita if she has sisters. Do you have sisters?
I do have one older sister.
You have one sister. I
Mhm.
don't like I know Leanne and Megan. We have Amber.
All of us have
all
brothers.
all the rest will have brothers.
None of us have sisters.
So there was, I think, a really important connection we were trying to make there, a safe space, like a actual sister replacement. Because we grew up in a house full of boys, and even when we were in college or older, we're looking for that to go to. I had some other friends from home, but like Amber said, I was away from the city I grew up in. I mean, it wasn't far, but I was away from the city that I grew up in, and I was at a predominantly white institution as well. And it felt like so relieving to be able to hang out with the rest of the ladies here and not have to pretend or not have to like be something else. You could be your just normal, your whole regular self, flaws and all. You don't have to do the code switching. You don't have to hold up these like particular expectations. There wasn't this like competition or beef or anything ever that, well, I don't know about when y'all were younger, but not at least not that I ever heard of. A place for you to be your whole authentic self. You got to have that. Like that's where you can grow and develop as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I was gonna echo. So I will say, coming out of college, and I may be the last person on this call to have either gotten married or have a child. So I think I'm not married, and I just had my first child. So I'm a little bit behind. So I would say, well, I wouldn't say I'm behind. All things happen, in due time, the way that they're supposed to happen, divine timing. So I will say that friendships for me have been critical. So I have not necessarily had, the romantic relationships that some may have had, through the marriages and things of that nature. But just knowing that I had that sounding board, someone that I could just be myself with, like as Faith was saying, I never had to worry about how I said something, because we're all from the South, right? So we have the accent, here and there. It'll fall out of our mouths, right? Our little drawl, our Southern drawl. And I can just remember right out of graduate school, going into corporate America, that was something that wasn't, I guess, welcoming, or they never welcomed that in corporate America. So I always had to be reserved whenever I was in meetings or whenever I spoke to any of my colleagues or coworkers. I had to be mindful of how I spoke. And that's carried on up until, now. So for me, coming out of college, I was just focused on my career. Making choices as to, what company I was going to go work for, what role I was going to go after or interview for. But I could always be myself. I knew that if I called, Leanne, I could be myself. Leanne was already on her path, to becoming a doctor. And, we would just, talk to one another. And I never had to be anyone but who I am, to my core. And who I am is Sharita from the country. I mean, we're all from the country, we're all from the South. And so we all have a similar, upbringing, and our core is here in the South, and just, our Southern values that we have. And I never had to be anyone else or anything else for this group. So definitely my friendships have been the core of, of my support, throughout, my entire life.
And I was just gonna add, I think definitely for me, like going through that like college period, because Amber got married and Jen kind of got married early, but even just like through that dating period, because a lot of just things would happen. And I mean, I think because you don't know how to do it, right? It's like it's not like you have a lot of experience. And so one thing I always, and even to this very day, I know that I can get an honest, constructive criticism from anybody in this group. Now they might be like, "Now you was wrong for that," but now are we still friends though? But that was trash. You know what I'm saying? I know anybody in this group, if I talk about something, you'll be like, "Okay, well now that wasn't." But we good though, and I really appreciate that, because that's the part where we're talking about being your real self. Our real selves also includes the trash stuff we do, or the trifling stuff we were doing. We're not all just like perfect, and so I think I've appreciated that. I know I can trust anybody in this group. If there really is something I'm doing that's just like off or trash, that it'll be a very constructive, but I know you'll still be supporting me. And like I've always appreciated anybody in this group, I know I can have that conversation with.
We're lucky.
Go ahead.
Oh, we are lucky that the stuff that we were doing, there isn't like a social media record of anything. There aren't pictures. I mean, we're good in that regard, but I think that's part of like what holds Jen. Don't look like that now. Don't look like that.
Look at her face.
Mm-hmm. See, we know things. We know things about each other.
That is so true, and that actually leads into the next question. Like all what you, Faith and Lee just said, that leads to my next question. Is okay. So now we're moving late into our late 20s, early 30s, and we're now making adult decisions, right? And we can all admit, all of us, every one of us can admit that we've made some shady commitments, some shady decisions around this time, very bad decisions. That not only were they bad decisions, but they were decisions that some of the women in this group saw coming, like, relationships. Like we would say to each other, don't do that. Don't date him. Don't go over there. Don't do that. And we did it anyway. But how did our friendship though sustain those "I told you so" moments? Because we really haven't. I tried to frame a question to kind of how we've gotten over the humps of disagreements and things like that, like not seeing eye to eye and things like that. But I think that the core of our group is truth telling. That's the core of our group, and we respect that about each other. That nobody really bites their tongue, and we all have said, "Don't go over there. That's not a good idea," But it still stings it still stings when you get hurt and you get bit. So how have we respected each other's boundaries? And there may have been situations where you saw things coming and you kept your mouth shut and you just thought, I probably shouldn't say anything about that. Probably shouldn't say, yeah, I don't know about that. So can you think of a situation like that? And how has our friendship maintained the test of time through those trifling situations and time?
Okay, I'll just start. And I think I had thought about kind of like kind of similar around this. And for me, one of the things that I always felt was like a challenge was that, especially when I was in school, like I would be kind of like present and then I would be gone for like long periods of time. Like I honestly don't feel like I was the best friend during that time because I wouldn't return phone call. It's like I feel like I just like disappeared. Like people would talk to me about things that happened. Are you coming home? I was just like totally submersed into school in a way that was probably unhealthy. And so for me, one thing that I would feel due to nobody's fault of my own is I feel like then I would pop up and like while I was gone, everybody else been living their life too. They got new friends, they got a family, they doing their own thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm back now. I'm back to be a friend now. I'm available, and so I think that for me it was like respecting people's boundaries. Like, oh, I'm doing the thing for me right now that's like the most important thing for me to be doing. And guess what? People ain't sitting around waiting for Leanne to come around and be like, you ready to be friends now? You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like I would just kind of pop up and like try to insert myself, and people were like, oh, I'm like, Jen had her sorority friends and Faith was doing, she had, Layla was doing stuff, and I'm like popping back in. And so I think the one thing I've always appreciated about this group though is when I would like pop back in, I never felt like, I think with Sharita too, because I know, so, we would be like hardcore, like talking all the time, doing this. And then I feel like I would just be gone for periods of time. And I know a lot of people could take that seriously. And I know a lot of friendships have ended over that. And so I don't think it was like the best thing to be doing or the best way to be a friend, but I've always appreciated that when I came back, it's like I'm picking up the phone. Hey, Leanne, what's up? No one was like, girl, we ain't talked to you. So we was calling you. You didn't, that people just kind of take me back. So I think that that's one thing for me that I've been able to get over. And it wasn't even like anyone intentionally tried to hurt my feelings, is that I had to come back and be like, oh, we have adult lives now and people are living their life while I'm doing this thing. And so to really be a friend is to try to have like some consistency in the relationship too, and like do my part in being a friend, right? I have to show up to be a friend too. So.
Well, one thing, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to kind of echo a little bit of what Leanne was saying and add on that there are times like there's something about those mid-20s years where, and going towards 30, I would say, where a person needs to like try out life on their own. Like they need to kind of move away, spin away, grow, build, make some mistakes. And I feel like we did that. I know that folks were in contact here and there, but I don't think there was a period of time where we weren't all communicating with each other, and we were all like living our separate lives. But because we knew that the kind of friends that we had were solid people who were like experiencing life and making decisions and growing, that we could still be there for each other without like hovering. So, a good friendship has a long leash. You don't need to keep that person right up tight close to you. They just might need to feel the security that, you're there as they go out and venture into their own lives and their own experiences and make their own decisions and maybe grow their family or try something out or move to a new city. It feels good to know that you have somebody that you can reach out to if you need to, but that you have enough space to like experience life individually.
I would agree. I know that at certain times, like for instance, I remember when Leanne was about to go to Vanderbilt and I cried like in her bosom, literally cried, like her shirt was wet And I thought I would never see her again. I did. I remember. And I was like, oh, things aren't just stopping right then. I mean, life kept going, and then you come back, and then I could go, and then somebody else comes in, and then somebody else go, and then we meet everybody else's friends, and I think that a lot of times we respect it when we would bring in other friends, because it's like, well, if they're a friend of yours, then okay, that type of thing. But like, for instance, Leanne, when you would be gone during those times, I knew you were handling business. We know each other's personalities. And I mean, even though Sharita and I really we're not like calling each other every day or something like that, I knew she was cool enough to where I could just call. Still, even to today, hey, I saw that you were cooking something. If I wanted to call and ask about a vegan meal, guess what? I probably would call her and not think another thing about it. So I think that the comfort level, that we have is important. And then you respect where we are. You have to respect who we are, the fact that maybe we don't have to be with you because we want something from you. We're genuinely just authentically wanting to be your friend. So that's where I see that.
I know for me, I got married at 24, engaged in 23, graduated college in 22. So I left and moved to Atlanta. And I don't feel like during my whole 20s, I even had regular contact with anybody. And so I would find out through some person how the other was doing. But I think that distance and just trying to navigate life, I'm so thankful that we're able to come together throughout the years and still connect, because I feel like two things. We had an open door policy with our friendship, like Sharita said, come on. But then there was also the epitome of do you, girl. So at whatever point that where you were, it was do you. Go to school, get married, raise your kids, go get the training, go do whatever, move around. And then there was this, always, hey, how you doing? Check up, periodically over the years. So I'm just thankful for that open door policy that we have that established trust there. And I think that might have prevented, I don't know if it's all of our personalities, but that might have prevented a lot of like the grudges and stuff, because we all kind of flowed in and out, and now, I think this pandemic is kind of just, I think it started a few years back, but just this pandemic has just been like, okay, we need to keep regular contact. People are dying. We need to stay in contact with each other and value life.
But I think it also has to do with too, because of the stage of life that we are in. Like I said, I was the first one to have a child, which means that my child is now a man, and thinking forward to, moving. He graduates and he's about to move, and so it's just a different season of life. And I think that we were able to navigate. I wonder sometimes if it was the fact that we didn't have sisters and we really didn't know what that sister dynamic was supposed to be in normal families, that we just kind of created our own. Because I remember, like Leanne's talking about when she was in school, I remember Leanne having the key to my apartment. I would get off work, come home, Leanne would be sitting at my kitchen table. I'd be like, hey, Lee, what and sometimes that was the only time I would lay eyes on her. But it was just whatever I can do to support you. You tell me where you need support, I got it. And then, and that was it. I don't expect anything from you. You don't expect anything from me. We are just friends. We are friends first, middle, and last. And that was it. And we didn't expect anything else. And I wonder if that comes from living in a house with knucklehead boys that, needing that female companionship, that we just kind of created our own friendship.
I think too, sometimes people can be cemented by tragedy. And when your mom passed away when you were really young, that was my first experience with someone my age losing somebody that was so near and dear, because you usually think of somebody passing away as an older person or some, and so to see my friend's mother pass away and then to go through and see that grieving process with you, those just, when you experience those things with somebody, that is just something that, you're kind of connected for life in a way during those experiences, because you've seen somebody at their most vulnerable state. So I think I still remember those moments when we were high school, middle school, junior high, like
No,
what was
we
that?
were 11th grade.
Yeah, it was going into 12th
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah, it's going to, so we were all very young, and to see you basically become the matriarch of your household after your mother passed away, I'm like, well, I need to get my stuff together, because I'm
And
seeing this
y'all,
woman.
yeah, and now y'all over there every Friday night, like we just kicking it. We just we got our own hangout spot.
Exactly. But that is, most people don't have to go through that. And I think that is something that creates connection.
I agree.
And I'll make a comment, and I also feel that friendship is a choice. You choose to love your friends, and I would absolutely agree. There are certain things that connected you guys or all of us, but I just made a choice to love my friends, my girlfriends, and I know you guys are talking about not having that sister connection. I do have an older sister, but I will say that I feel that I do have a closer connection to some degree. It's a little different. I have a closer connection with some of my girlfriends. So it's not necessarily that, because I had a sister, I had or you guys missed out on something without, having a sister. Let's just say that. But we make a choice to love our friends and to be there, support one another. So just keeping that in mind, the friendship for me is a choice. I've chosen to love my girlfriends as my sisters, and I look at them all as my sisters. And so as we navigate through life, we're making choices, things are happening, we're evolving, as women, every day. I still make a choice and a concerted effort to maintain my friendships, my friendships with my girlfriends. A friend once told me, a guy friend of mine, I remember I was dealing with, some mess, with a guy, of course. Y'all know how, you know how it goes. It's always something with a guy. And I was upset about it for whatever reason, whatever the situation was. And he told me, he said, you'll be okay, and you have to be okay, because you have other relationships that are equally as important as a romantic relationship. And that resonated with me. And he told me that years ago. And I don't know if he knows how impactful those simple words were to me. But it did resonate with me. And I remind myself of that all the time. These relationships that we have with our girlfriends, our sisterhood, is just as important as a romantic relationship. We make a choice to love. Love is not just a feeling, it's also a choice.
I agree. And we're looking at about 48 minutes. We said we were going to go an hour because Amber's daughter's birthday is today, and we're stealing her away from the birthday festivities. But but I did want to say, all of you who are commenting on Facebook, we're seeing your comments. They're popping up. So if you have a question, now would be a perfect time, because I have one more question. And then, so if you have any topics, any questions that you want to throw at us, do that now, so that we can get that in. But with piggybacking on what Sharita said, I remember in high school, I remember Mr. Hunter. Mr. Hunter was our favorite teacher. You remember, speaking of, I remember when my mom died in 11th grade, we were all friends then. Well, I mean, other than Faith and Sharita didn't go to our high school, so we were all there. And I remember when my mom died, I remember going, all of y'all said y'all went to Mr. Hunter's class and kind of had your powwow there. And I remember Mr. Hunter saying, y'all are friends now, but you won't be friends when you get to college. You'll find your real friends in college. Like, I remember him making
He did say that. He did.
Yeah. So yeah, he was wrong. Uh, but my final question is this. So on my 30th birthday, my brother wrote a quote in a birthday card that said, "All that I know, I learned after I was 30." And I think about that a lot because truthfully, I looked it up to see who actually came up with that quote, and Keisha is somewhere saying who it is right now, but I couldn't pronounce it, so I left it alone. Uh, but so now that we're in our 40s, though, we can all admit our friendship has a new look. Some of us have gone years at a time without any communication while we've navigated our own lives. However, we have done a great job of being able to reconnect and pick up like we never left. So, with that said, and we've talked about that a bit tonight, that I mean, for the most part, and me and Leanne talked about it briefly. Whereas, like, I may go 2 years without hearing Amber's voice or being connected to Amber. Jennifer was always connected with Amber. And then Leanne would talk to Jennifer. And then I would say, "Well, have you heard from Amber?" And she would say, "No, but I talked to Jennifer, and Jennifer said Amber is good." And so we kind of always stay in contact that way, so that and I remember Amber having when she had her baby having an issue, and it was like, "Hey, Amber's having some issues," and everybody stopped what they were doing, like, "What's going on with Amber? Is Amber okay?" And then when Amber was good, we were like, "All right, call us later." We just we always knew to pick it back up when we needed to pick it back up and lay it back down when it was time to lay it back down. So what advice would you give for other people, other circles of friends, to encourage them to maybe do something like this? We're doing this in the name of Valentine's Day, which is always the day before Valentine's Day, February 13th. So all of you other friend groups that are watching, you have time to get your friends together and have a powwow on the 14th or on the 13th. Get your friends together, do a Zoom call, just check in with each other, get some wine, check in, see how everybody is going. But in that, what advice would you give to other people who have circles of friends, and teaching them or allowing them to grant their females the grace and space to grow and to value them as a part of their lives? Because I think that that's something that we do very well, that we just give you grace to do your thing, and then we pick it back up and run with it. So what advice would you give other circles of friends as far as that goes?
I would say quickly, don't give up so easily. Don't give up on your girlfriends. Don't just be quick to write them off. And I feel like we live in a day and age where people are quick to dismiss a friendship or a relationship or whatever. I think we just need to be intentional and purposeful when it comes to just nurturing our friendships, our sisterhoods. So don't be so quick to write a girlfriend off. It could be something going on in that girlfriend's life that we have no idea what's happening. And she just may need some time to go off by herself, do her thing, just be quiet for a minute. But it doesn't mean that she doesn't she's not continuing to love you and respect that relationship that you guys have, your friendship. So just don't be so quick to write someone off. Now, there are some that you'll know as time moves on, like, okay, yeah, this friendship wasn't what I thought it was. But for those core girlfriends, like this circle, just continue to reach out when you have time. But yeah, just don't be so quick to write, a girlfriend off because you hadn't heard from her in a couple weeks or a couple months. It may be an opportunity for you to reach out and just say, "Hey, girl, just checking on you." Because we all go through stuff, and I'm pretty certain that there's a lot that has happened in our lives that we hadn't necessarily shared with the others here. And it's not for us to share everything or every aspect of what's going on in our lives. We don't have to. We can, and this is a safe, place for us to do that. But there are some things that we deal with, and sometimes we just need to retreat, and be on our own and just handle those things. But just be mindful to not be so quick to cut folks off and cut people out of your life.
Anybody else with any words of wisdom?
I mean, I think too, one thing that I have always appreciated about this group is just like being grateful for just all the different things and personalities that people bring. Like when Megan was asking those questions at the beginning, I think it kind of talks about like, well, who would be at a Black Lives Matter rally? Well, I think one of Amber's answers earlier kind of even shows you like just like what her passion is, right? Like in the things that kind of drive her. But like for me, one of the stereotypes that I hear is like women that they're competitive against each other. You know, there's always some kind of like underlying competition. And one thing I appreciate here is like we all have our own thing, but that's what I appreciate. Like I'm grateful that I have Amber, because Amber is like an encyclopedia. She has a wealth of knowledge about a lot of different things. And like I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know if it's something medical, you can come to me. I know if I need an educator, I got like 2 experts right here. If I need to know about business, I can actually read it. So for me, I'm grateful that we have all these different experiences. Like I never feel like I have to compete with what Amber's doing, or I have to compete with what Sharita's doing. You know, like sometimes I would look at Sharita's life like as a person who wasn't attached and be like, oh, you know, I remember them days you could just get up and you ain't have to talk to nobody. You could just like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not like competing with her or jealous of it. It's like I can appreciate that. Like I appreciate what that was like. Just like I'm sure there are times she may look out at this group and say, I can appreciate what it would be like to have a partner, you know, but it's not to me in a way where she's like, you know, I was about to say a bad word, you know, about people because they have it. You know, I don't feel like that I'm competing with anyone in this group. I'm grateful for all the different experiences that people bring. So if I had any advice, it would be if you really are feeling deep down that you're competing with your friends, to me, that really involves like some self-reflection. If it's a true friend, because instead of competing, you know, for me, I come from a point of like gratitude. I'm glad for everything that y'all have and all the different experiences. Because to me, I feel like I'm a better person because of who y'all are.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, competition, it's no competition here, but I am motivated by all of the great things that you guys are doing, like the text messaging that we do, just so you guys know, it is so motivational for me to see what you're doing, like Jennifer's podcast. I have not had a chance to check it out, clearly for obvious reasons, but I think that that's amazing. Like I am rooting for you and every one of you doing some great things. You know, Leanne, your social media platform that you're developing from the ground up. Is so much going on. Amber and her filmmaking and all kinds of stuff that's happening here. And I am rooting for every one of you guys, and it's motivating. It's motivational for me, and I am totally inspired by what you guys are doing. So there's no competition here at all in this group. No jealousy, none of that. It's all support and love.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. And it matters so much in this stage of life that we're in now. As we get older, we're finding that things are more nuanced. Their life is complex. It's there. Nothing is just what it might seem on the surface. So we have to extend grace to each other. And if you are or if you're thinking about how am I going to maintain my relationships, or how do I keep a relationship going, sisterhood going for years, and that is like appreciating what it is, and it should feel right, like it should feel easy. Now you have to like not give up and put in some effort, but it shouldn't feel like work, because if it's feeling like work, then something is not right. And it's never felt like work, the relationship with among any of us. So that, and I've had some relationships that have kind of dissolved or shifted, and I know enough now to know that who knows what could happen down the line. That might come back around. We may find ourselves operating in the same circles, or we may need each other for different things, but because it wasn't feeling easy at the time, like if it's not working, it's okay to like let it go, let it flow.
I think too, something that is important is just thinking about it like a plant or like a garden. Your friendships, they're only as good as the fertilizer, the food, the watering, the sunlight. Like, how do you nourish your friend group? How do you actually allow for the individuals in there to grow personally? Like, I know in my own marriage, my marriage to Paul is only as good as I'm growing.
Okay, so
Yeah, I
she
think we're having
brings
some
up,
technical.
I think with Amber, we have a little bit of a technical difficulty. So maybe Jen will let you pick up, and then when Amber comes back in, we'll pick her back up.
okay, well, I kind of just, as I was listening to everyone, I just thought about, I appreciate a friend that I can be authentic with and just be myself because of my background. Sometimes I can be very outspoken. Sometimes you don't know where I'm coming from and it'll just sound real raw. But if I can be that way with you, then I'm normally good. If I have to kind of put a clamp on it a little bit more, then I'm normally a little bit more hesitant to open up, or you may get a certain kind of Jennifer. And and then I don't really necessarily seek out that friendship as much because I can't be my real self. So I will say that you have to allow your friends to have space. You have to make sure that it's not a take situation. And I mean, I remember at one point I thought I was just taking from Leanne a lot. She's very intelligent, so asking her questions all the time was my thing. Leanne, what about this? And what do you think about this? And I said, I think I'm taking too much. So I would try to I say, okay, how can I give? A lot of times I have to watch that and I monitor that. And I think that's good to monitor yourself. Do a relationship check, friendship check. Like, just like when you're married, you're going to do a check then, just like with your own self, you're going to have some checks, do a friendship checkup and say, okay, have I really asked them how they're doing? And have I really tried to be a giver versus a taker? And when you do that, I think that sometimes that makes that friendship go a little longer. So,
Amber, we lost you for a minute, so we had Jennifer pick back up, but we kind of lost you towards the end of what you were saying.
Oh, can you hear me now? Okay. So I think where I was, I think somebody in my house started turning on a bunch of Wi-Fi and messed everything up. But
The last thing I wrote down was
think,
you said something about how do you nourish your friend groups. That was the last thing I wrote down.
okay. So I feel like it's similar to marriage in a way. Like, my marriage is only improving and working out well as I grow individually. So I think a thing that keeps us together is we're all individually growing. Like, we're all working on our stuff. And so I think that is a link and a trait and a tendency that keeps us growing in our friendship. If we were all stagnant and if we were all just kind of not caring, then our relationship would probably falter. So I feel like the nourishment, kind of like I was saying, like a plant, like if you give the plant fertilizer, water, and sunshine, it grows. I think we are growing individually, which proves our friendships. So I think that any type of relationship needs that. It's only as good as the individuals in it that are growing.
All right, perfect. So we heard from everybody. And I just want to say thank you guys for getting together. Was this my idea? Sounds like something I probably would come up with.
This was your idea. We're going to have another stream that Amber and I are going to do, Girl Talk After Dark, but this was your idea.
That's right. Okay. So thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for joining. We're well over our hour time. So we know after an hour, people start kind of tuning out and we got a birthday to celebrate. So, and what time is it? It's what, 6:00. It's 6:00 LA. So we'll end it there. Thank you all for joining us today just to discuss friendship. And once again, you do have a full week. So you got a week to get your girlfriends together. And it may not be, you could have multiple friend groups and like I have something scheduled on the 13th with another friend group that we're doing ours on the 13th. So you may have multiple days set up, and that's fine. So but get your girlfriends together. It is so valuable to have a good group of girlfriends to just, I mean, we talk about serious things. We've dealt with grief, we've dealt with trauma, we've dealt with everything, and then Leanne will send a random text in the middle of the day that's just like, this girl is so random. So we do it all. We do it all. So, but get your friends together, get some time together, make it important, make it. It is very important to get your groups together. And I do want to say thanks to Tracy and Keisha who helped me get these questions together. I kept them hostage last night until about 10:30, getting the questions together. So thank you, ladies, for helping. And I think that's it. I think anybody have anything final they want to say before Leanne ends everything?
I enjoyed it.
Me too.
I
Thank
love
y'all for
you
being
all.
here.
Thank you guys so much. It's good seeing you.
Love
All right.
y'all. See you in
Love
the group
y'all.
chat.
Love you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Bye, guys.